Welcome to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hello, I am Lisa Garr, host of the Aware Show Health and Mindset series, where I'm speaking with experts about what life looks like in our new normal and how to not only embrace change, but how to adapt to the current changes, the daily changes that we're having to adapt to. And in the meantime, maintain a healthy mind. It is a lot to handle, but that's why we have this show, because we bring on all sorts of learning techniques and solution-oriented techniques that are much, much easier when you learn in a group setting like this, as we do on network television, but also in a way where we're like learners. And so let's just spend this time choosing where we put our thoughts. This is the opportunity we get to really choose where we put our thoughts and create intentions in specifically new possibilities with this conversation. Today, we're talking about sleep. Are you getting more sleep than you've ever gotten before, or is it the opposite? You're getting the most restless sleep you've ever had during this time of stress. When there are unknowns and uncertainty about the future, the brain tends to want to figure that out all day, all night, all day, all night. I kind of know how that is. I've been experiencing that. So here to help us learn how to get a better night's sleep and the importance of it is clinical psychologist and fellow of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, Dr. Michal Breus. And he's talking about how to get a restful sleep even throughout a pandemic. Welcome, Dr. Breus. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me on board. I'm so excited to be here. This is such a great opportunity to spread the knowledge, right?
Yes, I've been talking with you about sleep on the Aware Show for a decade, and this is probably the time where your information is needed, where it is directly impacting everyone is going through stress, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's really two aspects that I would say sleep is having a big effect on or is being affected by, right? So first of all, what is the importance of sleep to our immune function is a question that I think is heavy on everybody's mind. So let's explain that briefly right here. So here's what we know is killer T cell production increases with good quality sleep. So you may or may not remember way back from biology class in high school, but killer T cells are the white blood cells that fight infection and viruses. So that's something we really want to have that's pretty high. And so getting high quality and consistent sleep elevates that process of creating those and having those fight our disease. So that's important thing number one. There was a really interesting study that was done actually at the University of San Francisco. And this was just fascinating. So they took people who had really good night's sleep, they gave them the flu shot, and then they exposed them to the flu. Then they took people who didn't have a good night's sleep, right? Gave them the flu shot, exposed them to the flu, and wanted to see what would happen. Here's what was so fascinating. When you didn't get a good night's sleep the night before the flu shot, something like 70% of people got the flu. But if you did get a good night's sleep, only 10% of people ended up getting the flu. So when we get to the stage of inoculation, when there's a vaccine, when all of those things are here, we need to be well slept before we get that so that it can be as effective as we need it to be. So it turns out that sleep arguably is the number one easiest way and least expensive to be able to improve your immune system. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to give people some ideas, some tips, some tricks, and thoughts about how to sleep during the pandemic.
Specifically. So now, how much sleep, what type of quality of sleep? Just because the head hits the pillow doesn't mean the brain shuts off. Like I was saying earlier.
So let's talk about that, because that is one of the biggest things that I'm hearing from people right now is dreams. specifically crazy, vivid dreams, as well as nightmares and stress-related dreams. So just to be clear, that is normal. So when people are under intense situations, which I would argue that we really are right now, our lives have changed, right? And when our lives changed, and especially something that we weren't actually predicting was going to happen, it's stressful to us overall. That's number one. Number two, our movement has reduced dramatically. I saw a tweet the other day from a celebrity that said, I've taken 200 steps and it's 2:00. You're right. And it's like normally they'd be at like the 8,000 step, position at that point. So our general level of activity has lowered. And here's the thing, the best way to improve the quality of your sleep is with daily activity, physical activity. So when you start to think about this idea of quarantine, right, it's oppressive because we can't go outside. That causes stress. We aren't moving as much because we're kind of stuck inside. So that elevates an issue with our sleep. So we've really kind of getting the 1-2 punch when it comes to sleep. And here's where it gets even a little bit worse, is because people aren't commuting, they're sleeping later. They're not waking up consistently, and they're certainly not going to bed consistently, right? And that's really the crux of the problem. If people learn one thing from us being together today, it's wake up at the same time every single day, including the weekends. Okay, because that's what that does. Well, I'll tell you why. So what it does is it controls your circadian rhythm. So it keeps your circadian rhythm locked down because you have over 300 functions in your body that rely on you waking up at a very particular time and doing that all day long. So when people are saying, "Hey, I don't have to commute. I'm gonna stay up and watch Netflix, and I'm gonna sleep in," not a good idea. Like, I don't care if you want to stay up later and you want to have fun. Great, go for it. Wake up at the same time. That's going to really be one of the most important aspects because this drift really throws off the whole circadian cycle. So I would argue that those three things are the things that are really having a pretty big effect. Now the question is, what can we do about it?
I've pretty much annihilated all of them. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know who's got any sense of routine right now. And I know how, I've always been a free-spirited person, and I've not loved routine, although I do it all the time. I've not loved it. And I've recognized the importance of it. And also the whole piece about the movement. Yes, I get up, I'm all excited, I exercise, and then I literally sit the rest of the day. I'm not running out. I'm not running errands. I'm not picking up at school. I am sitting for 8 hours. And although I'm doing something I love.
Bueno.
Yeah, it is bizarre. And I think, oh, great, I'm exercising every day, but that's all. That's it.
Yeah, right. That's the problem. So like what I'm telling people to do is to find ways to get active. And that seems kind of strange coming from a sleep doctor, but it really is very beneficial. So as an example, when somebody is going from a video call to a video call to a video call, give yourself a 5 to 10 minute break in between, go to the bathroom, number one, and number two, go outside. Get some fresh air, get a little sunlight, maybe do 5 jumping jacks, a couple of push-ups. I'm not saying get into a full-on sweat, but do something that's moving you, right? Because this movement is going to pay good dividends later on. Also, by the way, we're starting to see a significant amount of weight gain during COVID because, again, people aren't moving and people bought a lot of shelf-stable food, which is a lot of processed you-know-what. And so they end up eating the processed, not moving, and here comes the weight. Right. And that's when things like snoring kick in and problems like that. So this is the potential for the recipe for it not so good. However, it's also the potential for time for self-care, right? It's also the potential for time for looking at ourselves and getting into those regimens and working that system better. Because I promise you, when the quarantine gets lifted, you're going to want to be well slept. Okay, you're going to want to have the full amount of energy that you want to be able to put forward because of things like career and family and purpose and things of that nature. So again, there's a lot of things that you can do. I'd like to roll through maybe 5 or 6 different tips if that's okay.
Yes. Well, first of all, I do want to ask you about that lovely little cup of deliciousness behind you, because what is a recipe for something that we can drink maybe before you go to sleep that will help you have a more restful sleep? And then let's go through some of your other tips.
I have something. It's called banana tea. So one of my favorites. So this is actually a cup of. This way. This is actually a cup of coffee. But I use. There's 2 drinks that I really like for people, especially who are having difficulty falling asleep and staying asleep. One is my recipe for what I call banana tea. So banana tea is nothing more than an organic banana that's washed off. You cut off the stem and the tip, you cut it in half, leave the fruit in and the peel on it, and you put it into 3 cups of boiling water, and you boil it till it turns brown, and then you drink the water. So what's the science behind all of this? It turns out that it's all about magnesium. So for a lot of people who are deficient in magnesium, number one, we need to get those PAR levels back up, because magnesium is helpful in about 300 different functions, literally 300 in the body. But more specifically, it seems to help quite a bit with sleep. So what's great about this is the peel of the banana has 3 times the amount of magnesium as the fruit itself. So eating the banana isn't really going to get you there unless you eat the whole bunch. So being able to have this banana water actually works out really, really well.
Love it. I love that. And maybe we could put a little cinnamon in it or something, but is it sweet or is it tart?
You can put a little cinnamon in for taste. And I'll warn you, you got to like bananas, because as my daughter says, Dad, it's really banana-y, right? So it's very flavorful for bananas, for sure.
That sounds great. I love bananas. I love bananas. I mean, speaking of daughters, yes. I'm just going to say the teenagers are loving this.
Yeah, it doesn't interact with any medication. Seniors can take it. You can feed it to children, because it's a boiled banana, right? That's all we're talking about here. And I have one mom, which is really great. She makes a picture of it every week, and then she pours it into popsicle molds, and she gives it to her kids after dinner as their dessert, and they're out like a light.
Love it. No, thank you so much for that. I'm going to do that today. That's fantastic. So you mentioned sleep cycles in your book, The Power of When, which I've talked with you about before. What types of cycles happen at night while we're sleeping? And that's how we will know we'll have a good night's sleep, when we hit these cycles, right?
Well, so there's a couple of ways to think about it. So as an example, in my book, The Power of When, what we look at are these things called chronotypes. So chronotypes are genetically predetermined sleep schedules that your body is on. Now, you've heard of them before. Maybe you've been called an early bird, or somebody's called you a night owl before. Those are 2 of the types. It turns out that there's actually 4. And when you discover how to sleep at the right time for your genetics, it's the game changer, because the quality of the sleep just increases dramatically. And here's the best part is, during a time like quarantine, we can play around with our sleep schedule a little bit, right? So if you're a night owl like me, you can stay up until midnight and not worry about sleeping in a little bit more. Or if you're an early bird, you can go to bed early and wake up a little bit earlier. So I am highly recommending for people, take my quiz. If you head over to the website and check out the book and take the quiz, that will tell you what your chronotype is. And it'll also give you one of these sleep schedules, because when you sleep at the right time for your body actually sleeps better.
That is fascinating. So I'm a night owl. My daughter's a night owl, and my husband is what's the other one? A bear?
A bear is in the middle.
Oh, in the middle. And what's the early bird?
So the early bird is called a lion, and middle is called a bear, evening is called a wolf, and then insomniac is called a dolphin. And so it's fun when you start to think about who's in your house. So for example, in my house, both my wife and I are night owls, and I have 2 teenagers. And by their very nature, teenagers are night owls. So we're basically the wolf pack over here at our house.
Everybody's going to bed late and sleeping in the morning. And that's, yes. It's opposite in our house. And my husband is lights out. He can't see past 9:30 at night. And then 6 o'clock in the morning, he can't sleep past that time. So we do have different schedules, but my daughter and I have really good hangout time at night. So let me ask you specifically, a lot of drinking is going up. The alcohol consumption is going up during this pandemic time. How does that affect sleep pattern?
So there's 2 important things to understand about alcohol. So number 1, it lowers your immune function. Period. End of story. The data is very consistent on this. So everybody needs to understand that the more alcohol that they bring into their system, the less they're going to be able to fight something like this. So that's number 1. Number 2, there's a really big difference between going to sleep and passing out. Okay. And so what I tell people all the time is, especially during a time like now when we don't want to be drinking a lot of alcohol, we really need to think through this idea of alcohol consumption. So I'm going to give everybody an easy method that they can utilize and still stay safe. So what a lot of people don't know is it takes the average human body approximately 1 hour to digest 1 alcoholic beverage. So if you have 1 glass of wine, you would want to drink 1 glass of water right? Because alcohol is a diuretic. It's going to make you have to go to the bathroom, and you wait 1 hour. If you have 2 glasses of wine, you drink 2 glasses of water, and you wait 2 hours. Here's what's interesting when you get past 2 glasses of wine is alcohol doesn't have the same effect that you think it does. So the first 2 glasses, it's relaxing. It may even make you feel sleepy. Once you get to glass 3, you start to get energized. And with men, they can actually get aggressive. So you really need to think through this idea of, hey, it's 3 o'clock and I've got a great bottle of wine in my pantry. Let's all crack it open and have a party. It's really probably not the best idea. I'm not saying don't have 1 glass of wine with the dinner. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you need to be careful about alcohol. And let's talk about caffeine while we're talking about alcohol, because that's kind of the flip side of that equation, right? And so here's the problem with caffeine is it's a stimulant, right? And so what's happening is if you were at work, let's say you had a workplace where they had a coffee station or what have you, you'd go, you fill up your 1 cup, you maybe talk to a couple people and you come back. When you're at home, you make the whole pot, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you don't think about it. And you're like, gosh, I've been sitting forever and I'm so fatigued. I'm going to go grab another cup of coffee. And then you go in, and before you know it, you've doubled or tripled the increase in your caffeine consumption.
Or you grab the boat like I have. This is the boat cup. It's
right. It's like the steamer
as big as my head
of coffee. Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And so when you think about that, though, that also increases anxiety. Right. So when you put a stimulant on board, you're going to increase anxiety. Right. We're in an anxious time, guys. Like, let's just be very clear. There's no need to add something that's going to make you more anxious. Right. So really look at limiting your consumption of caffeine. To be clear, you don't want to go cold turkey. OK, so if you're like, hey, I'm going to get healthy and I'm just going to stop all caffeine, that's a really bad idea. I'll tell you why. Because you're going to get a massive rebound on it. I've had 2 patients end up in the ER, not during COVID, but previously from cold turkeying off caffeine. You bet. It's a strong substance. So you need to be careful. So what oh yeah, absolutely. So what I tell people is, look, let's say you drink 3 cups of coffee a day. Take that last cup and make half of it decaf and half of it regular, and do that for 3 days. And then turn that last cup into complete decaf for 3 days. And just slowly get yourself there, right? Again, we don't need stimulants on board right now, and we certainly don't need any additional anxiety. But people are drinking more caffeine because they're feeling more tired and more fatigued because they're not moving and because they're not sleeping. So a couple of quick tips that I want to give people specific to sleep. So tip number 1 is to give yourself a media diet 90 minutes before bed. What do I mean by that? You do not need to know the statistics of how many people got COVID and how many people died right before bed. Okay. Like, you don't need that stuff. If you want it in the morning, go for it. Okay. I don't care. I don't like bad news showing up before bed. And I'll tell you why. There's a study that looked at an optimism before bed, which was really kind of interesting. It turns out that if you do something that's optimistic before bed, not only do you fall asleep more quickly, you have more pleasant dreams. What is everybody having right now? Crazy, vivid dreams, right?
Yes.
And nightmares, exactly. So one of my big recommendations right now is, again, remove the media, remove the stressful source, right? That's telling you all those things. Watch a romantic comedy if that's what you want to do. Read a book, a fiction book. Like, do things right before bed that are positive and helpful and purposeful. These will all actually help you fall. Like, the science is there. Like, I'm not talking some woo-woo kind of stuff. The science is solid on this, right? And so here's a couple of suggestions that a couple of my patients have done, which is kind of fun. One of my patients, they're planning their next vacation. So every night right before bed, they sit down and they look and they say, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And it turns out that there's interesting data on this, that planning a vacation causes an increase in more positive feelings than actually taking the vacation itself, believe it or not. So these planning things can be very helpful. Another thing that you can do, I have one couple, they bring out a photo album, a different photo album each night, and they start flipping through it and they talk about, oh, do you remember this picture and this fun time and this kind of thing? And so again, happy feelings, very positive, very optimistic feelings before bed. What we're starting to see is it's starting to change the content of those dreams, because again, everybody should be having some vivid dreams. Everybody should be having the occasional nightmare during a period of time like this, right? So a couple other things that you can do just before bed during that 90-minute period that are more beneficial. One of them, take a hot bath. Michael, why on earth would I want to increase my core body temperature right before bed? Don't you need your core body temperature to drop in order to help you sleep? You do.
Relaxing.
This is how we're going to do it. Right. It's relaxing. Exactly.
Yes.
And here's the best part is if you should make sure to take a bubble bath. So you're getting a prescription from the sleep doctor to take a bubble bath. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When you put the bubbles across the top of the water, it forms a layer of insulation and it keeps the water hotter longer, which helps your core body temperature raise. So when you get out of the tub, your temperature dumps and falls, and that's a signal to your brain to release melatonin. Remember, everybody, melatonin is that key that starts the engine for sleep. So by getting in that hot bath, it's got to be about 90 minutes before bed so your body can get that cooling period. It can be very effective for people. And drink in a little lavender, a little aromatherapy. I mean, it smells good.
And candles.
And it feels good. A little
Yes.
Epsom salt, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Candles, I don't have a problem with if you're bathing, but you don't want to use candles for general aromatherapy because fire and sleep don't mix, right? So you want to use a diffuser, right? Or a pillow spray or one of these, I've got these little sachets that I use that I like quite a bit. So those are places you can get your aromatherapy. Candles are great if they're in the bathroom.
Yes.
Sure.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know. So when you're thinking about all of these different things, right, also look at your environment. So a lot of people are like, I mean, we're spending a lot of time in bed now. So let's think about this. How good is your pillow, right? I mean, if you're waking up and your neck is kind of sore and your shoulders are kind of sore, it's probably your pillow, right? Think about looking at some new pillows. There are actually some great pillows on the market. Other things that you can kind of think about is the cleanliness of your bedroom. Look, I'm not trying to say anybody doesn't have a clean bedroom, but you need to get in there and clean it out. Look, we've got dust, we've got dirt germs, we've got bacteria, all of that stuff. You've got COVID on your clothing, whether you know it or not, and it can live for a period of time in that. Unless you're a person who showers in the evening before bed, I'm recommending that you wash your sheets at least twice a week. So maybe like Mondays and Thursdays, right? In hot water, make sure that they're nice and sterile so that you have a very nice, fresh environment. Also, look, it's not going to hurt to get rid of the dust bunnies that are underneath, right? And clean that whole area out. So again, you have a nice environment in which you can relax, fall asleep, and not have to worry about some of those.
Fascinating. And also the darkness in the room. Does that make a difference how dark it is?
It does. In fact, light is the opposite of melatonin, if you will. So when you have light, it turns the melatonin signal off. But when you have darkness, it turns the melatonin signal on. That's why we actually call the melatonin the vampire hormone, because it only comes out in darkness like a vampire does, you know?
Okay.
So you want it to be as dark as possible, but to be fair, you don't have to make it pitch black. I mean, I've got people who take electrical tape and they put it on the little blue dots on their cable box and things like that. That's probably not necessary. But if you can have a darker environment, it's certainly going to be helpful. Now, what do you do if you want to go to bed early, your partner wants to go to bed later, and they want to watch television to fall asleep or something like that? That's when you'd use an eye mask, right? I'm a huge fan of eye masks. I wear one every night. I love it. And once you get used to it, it's great because it is total darkness, which is great. Really nice.
And you can control the light pollution now.
Exactly, because then you're not getting that blue light in. Now, if you do happen to want to like watch television or read a book or something like that, I'm recommending blue light blocking glasses. You know, to be fair, I went out and created my own line of them simply because I didn't like what was out there. But you don't have to buy mine. But what I would tell people to do is if you're going to buy blue light blocking glasses, you want to find the ones that have been actually reviewed by somebody who's in the sleep field, like a sleep specialist or a sleep doctor or something like that, just to make sure that you're getting the right quality lens and that it's having the effect that you want it to have. Unfortunately, I just couldn't find a lot of them out there. So that was why I went and did one of my own.
So are you talking about when you're looking both at the computer and at the television?
Yeah.
Both times.
So look, I got a pair right here. I'll show you. So
okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to look like Elvis Costello or maybe Bono.
Oh yeah.
Right? Are they sexy?
Okay.
Are they look good? I don't know. Right. So look. So
nice look there, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Right. So these are actually super high quality and you can get them with magnification. And if you read like I do, and I have reading glasses, you can actually have over glasses, which will sit over your glasses. So then you don't have to worry about prescription and things like that.
Oh,
and
that's
also,
great.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that's important is when you're looking at Zoom call after Zoom call and, digital meeting after digital meeting, your eyes start to hurt, right? So these can help with eye strain as well. right? And so when you're wearing these, it actually lowers the eye strain, which can actually be quite helpful for people. So, I mean, investing in a pair of these, I mean, maybe $20, $30, something like that, can be incredibly helpful. I've got both my kids wearing them, and we actually just donated 50 pair to my children's school. So that way the teachers, because all the teachers are now having to do this, right? And
on Zoom, yes. And it's going to be a while, so we might as well get used to being in front of our screens here, protecting from that blue light as much as you possibly can. We've learned so much from you. Thank you so much. We've learned about banana tea. Never thought about that. I'm going to go make that right away. The importance of magnesium and the importance of sleep for immunity, for immune health, so that you can get those fighter T cells working, and that you can actually improve your overall health with a restful night's sleep. And you are awesome. Thank you so much. You've had a lot of time to talk about a lot of great things over the years. So thanks for being here.
No, and I always appreciate the opportunity to work with you, Lisa. You're amazing. Thank you so much. And you do so much for your tribe. I know they really appreciate it. So thank you for having me on today. I certainly have had always a fun time.
Always. Well, thanks for doing the good work. And The Power of When is the name of your book, which is great. Talking about sleep cycles, which is fantastic. All right. Thank you.
If people happen to be looking for more information on me, feel free to go to my website. It's thesleepdoctor.com.
Yes, you are. You are the sleep doctor. All right. Thank you so much. Get some good rest and stay healthy and stay safe. And to all my wonderful community, I invite you all to stay aware. Thank you so much.